Is a reading from the Notebooks by Maria Valtorta, 1943, December the 7th. The reference is Zechariah chapter 9, verses 9, 10, 11, 13, 16, and 17. Jesus says, Satan seduced the children of God with proud thought. He injected into the innocent a thirst for being great by all forms of greatness, power, knowledge, and possession. You will become like God. The serpent's hiss had faded out centuries before, but the sound that no longer cut through the air was fused to the murmur of the blood in man's heart. It is still fused to this blood of yours, dearer to you than your souls, and you live doing harm to your souls and bodies to obey the imperative of your blood, poisoned by Satan. But you are mistaken in applying value and meaning to things and words. The Father Creator had already bestowed upon you the gift of being like God, but a likeness with which what is flesh and blood has nothing to do, but rather the Spirit, for God is a spiritual and perfect being, and He had made you great in the Spirit, and capable of reaching perfection through full grace in yourselves, and an ignorance of evil. I came to place things and words in the proper light, and by words and deeds I showed you that true greatness, true wealth, true wisdom, true royalty, and true deification are not as you think. I did not want birth in a royal palace, pomp in my life, a court with dignitaries, ministers, cocoa palms and horses, distinguished teaching chairs, palaces and possessions. I came meek and humble as a poor child who does not have even the shelter of a poor room, but a cavern, shelter for animals, to spend his first days in the world. I came as a refugee in foreign regions, a fugitive before the base power of men. I experienced hunger and the degradation of being one of the homeless, who must scrape out their sustenance by way of little mouthfuls through 1,000 humble jobs. I came as the son of a worker, and a poor one in addition, a village worker asked by farmers, carters, and housewives for handles for their farm tools, spokes and rims for the wheels of their rural carts, repairs of kneading troughs and stools, and the construction of poor beds for the different couples, as humble as the carpenter of Nazareth, who had to make themselves a house or a crib for the first baby. I came as a pilgrim without a stone to rest his head on, and having to lie down wherever the Creator has him find one, and without food except that given by the charity of those receiving him, which may be bread and salt, or a bowl full of goat's milk, or fish roasted on the coals of farmers, shepherds, or fishermen, like the rich banquet of the Pharisee, at which the succulent dishes were bitter for me, because they were not seasoned with love, but with curiosity alone, or the meals at Bethany, rest for the soul of Christ, who rediscovered a mother there in Martha, filled with material care, and in Mary, filled with adoration, and felt comprehended by the learned mind of a friend. I entered as a son of David into the royal city, which, as I was entering, was already expelling me, almost as if I were a shameful abortion, astride a donkey, offered me by the generosity of a simple man, who had known me as the teacher and the Son of God. I died naked, and on a bed of disgrace, which was not even mine in its coarse wood, and I was prepared and buried in bandages and fragrances purchased by those who loved me, and in a tomb offered by the mercy of those who loved me. I was great because I wanted to be small. Remember this, you that, while being small, want to be great at any cost, even illicitly. And my kingdom will have no end or limit, for at the cost of my total annihilation, I conquered it for myself. If you had let me reign, instead of killing me, first on the cross, and then in your consciences, you would have known eras of peace as long as the earth, from the moment I set my foot upon it as the innocent one, for I am the King of peace. I am peace itself. I would have given you peace in nations, and peace in consciences, for with my blood, the blood of the circumcision would have sufficed to redeem mankind. I came to free you from the waterless pit which Satan had dug for you, and where you were perishing, and perish, because in spite of my having pulled you out of it, you have wanted to go back into it. Since the seducer has paved it with gold, and painted obscene images on the right-hand wall, and images of power on the left-hand wall, 3 things which have the maximum value for you. And yet I let myself be stretched out on the cross to make my martyrdom an arrow, perforating the closed heavens, and opening the way for God's forgiveness. And even though you have hated me, I continue to rally you together like a trumpet held by an ensign, to make you into my peaceful army, which conquers the heavens. Come, before the hour arrives when you will no longer be able to come. Come to me. Be dressed in my uniforms and marked with my sign. The angel of God protected the children of Israel from the extermination of Egypt through the blood of the Lamb sprinkled upon the door jambs and lintels. I, the Lamb of my father and Lord, for my father saved his children through my blood, with which I dyed not the material of wood and stone which perish, but your immortal souls. For those marked with my blood, the trumpets of the universal roll call will be newly infused life, and from the folds in the ground in which they will have been sleeping for centuries, the bones of the just will rise with rejoicing to be clothed in perfect flesh, for it will be nourished by the living bread which has come down from heaven for you, and by the wine squeezed out of the veins of the Holy One, who makes your souls virginal and worthy to enter into the heavenly Jerusalem.